Never connect to free public Wi-Fi without thinking twice. Elliot notices something unusual. The free Wi-Fi at this coffee shop is running at nearly 1 gigabit per second. Maintaining that kind of bandwidth costs a fortune. It makes no sense for an ordinary coffee shop. He walks straight up to the owner and takes a seat across from him. The sign on the wall says Ron's Coffee, but the owner's real name is Maida. In less than 6 years, this barely profitable coffee shop has expanded to dozens of locations, and every location offers the same high-speed Wi-Fi. Elliot gets straight to the point. He tells Maida about the network traffic he intercepted. Maida has been secretly running an illegal website called Plato's Boys. Much of its content involves minors. Maida has gone to great lengths to hide his identity, but his emails and website records have already been completely exposed by Elliot. Elliot places the files he collected on the table. Maida assumes he is being blackmailed. He immediately says he will not pay a single cent, because once he gives in, the blackmailer will keep demanding more. But when Elliot says the name of the website, Maida's confidence completely disappears. The reason Maida offers free Wi-Fi is to make countless customers share the same public IP address. Even if the police trace the activity back to the coffee shop, they cannot immediately identify the real operator. But Elliot is not here for money. To stop the criminal from escaping, he forces himself to overcome his severe social anxiety and sits there to keep Maida occupied. As the police sirens get closer, Maida finally panics. He says he is willing to pay whatever Elliot wants, but Elliot gathers his things and walks away. As he steps out of the coffee shop, he passes the police rushing inside. He has exposed a criminal who remained hidden for years, but he feels little sense of relief, because the real force hanging over everyone is E-Corp, an empire far more powerful than Meta. The company controls 70% of the world's consumer credit. Mortgages, credit cards, and student loans have become digital chains controlling ordinary people. Even his childhood friend Angela will have to work for decades just to pay off her student loans. Elliot despises E-Corp, but he needs a normal job to hide his other life. So he accepts Angela's invitation and joins the cybersecurity company AllSafe. But AllSafe's biggest client happens to be E-Corp. His job is to protect the company's network systems. During one meeting, E-Corp executive Terry clearly knows nothing about technology, yet he repeatedly ignores the people in charge at AllSafe and tells Elliot how to do his job. Looking at a man who helps control the debts of millions, Elliot becomes even more convinced that the world is being controlled by arrogant and ignorant people. Not long after that, Angela calls him in the middle of the night. E-Corp's system is under a massive cyber attack. The technicians on duty cannot contain it. Elliot arrives at the office at 4 in the morning. In just 1 hour, E-Corp has already lost nearly $70 million. The attackers have broken into the core system, and the malicious code has created hundreds of copies of itself. There is only one solution. They have to shut down every server and remove the infected files one machine at a time. AllSafe immediately contacts the data center and rushes Elliot to the site on a private jet. Once the malicious code has been removed, the technicians begin restarting the servers. But Elliot suddenly realizes that server 30 was missed. If it comes back online, the remaining code will reinfect the entire data center. As the restart process moves closer to the infected machine, Elliot quickly changes its restart path. At the very last second, he forces server 30 to bypass the restart and remain shut down. Once the crisis is under control, Elliot begins examining the infected servers. After successfully breaking into a system, hackers often leave behind a signature, because even these isolated people want someone to notice what they have done. Sure enough, he soon finds an unfamiliar file. It is signed by a hacker group called F Society. A message has also been left behind. Do not delete this. It was clearly written specifically for Elliot. He is about to delete it, but his finger stops just before pressing the key. After thinking it over, Elliot decides to keep the file. He also changes its access permissions. If the hackers ever want to activate it again, they will need Elliot's authorization. On the subway ride back into the city, a stranger wearing a Mr. Robot jacket suddenly approaches him. The man tells Elliot that if he did not delete the file, he should get off at this stop. Just as the subway doors are about to close, Elliot runs after him. The stranger takes him to an abandoned arcade. Inside is a hacker group that has never revealed itself online. Elliot does not understand why they do not communicate through anonymous software. Mr. Robot explains that one of the world's most powerful hacker groups collapsed after the police seized its leader's computer, leading to the arrest of every member. Every form of online communication leaves a trace. Even sending a simple emoji could expose the entire network. That is why they only meet in person. Once they leave the arcade, everyone returns to their normal life. The file Elliot chose not to delete was actually a test. After returning home, Elliot searches every corner of the internet, but finds nothing about F Society. The arcade has also been abandoned for years. Ever since its owner was shot and killed, the building has remained empty. Elliot originally plans to give the evidence to the police, but first he wants to learn what the group is really planning. So he returns to the arcade. When the girl at the entrance sees him, she immediately asks for access to the file. Only then does Elliot realize that she was the one who created it. Mr. Robot then takes him onto a Ferris wheel. There, he reveals the entire plan. They plan to break into E-Corp's servers and erase every backup at the same time. Once the data is completely destroyed, countless mortgages, credit card balances, and student loans will instantly be wiped clean. Billions of people could be freed from debt overnight. It could become the greatest redistribution of wealth in history. It could also trigger an uncontrollable financial disaster. The first step of the plan is for Elliot to place Terry's IP address inside the malicious file. After returning home, Elliot stares at Angela's student loan balance, a debt she may never fully repay. He thinks about the countless people whose lives are trapped by debt. After sitting in silence for a long time, he finally enters the IP address into the file. The fake evidence now points directly to Terry, but the next morning, Elliot still cannot bring himself to frame someone without solid proof. So he does not submit the conclusion he altered. Instead, he hands the malicious file over to the police and lets them uncover the person behind the attack themselves. For an entire month, neither the police nor the media says a word. Then one day, everyone in the office suddenly turns toward the television. The police announce that they have arrested the man behind the attack that cost E-Corp billions. The man being taken away is Terry. The story immediately takes over every major news network. Elliot knows that F Society's first move has succeeded, but before he can understand what will happen next, a group of men in black appears behind him. A nearby police officer sees what is happening, but simply turns away and pretends not to notice. Elliot is escorted out of the building and taken directly to E-Corp headquarters. Only then does he realize that the people truly watching him may never have been the police.